All right, let's go to some of the thoughts, some of the predictions, some of the season previewy stuff that I did put together. Let's go. If I put the over under for wins for the
Oh, God.
Warriors. Now, what did they win last year?
Yeah, that's what I need to see.
What are they like? 43 wins, maybe?
20.
I think they were like 43 and 39 or something like that. Or were they 44 and 38? It was something around there as far as wins. This is bad pod, man. What do you have?
This
Slow
is
internet?
bad potting. I'm just typing with one hand. I can't even find it.
2022 NBA.
I got it. They were 44 and 38, and they were the 6th seed with that record.
Okay, so I think we hope that their regular season goes a little better because just at the fact that they can't be as bad of a road team as they were last year. So if I put the over under at 47.5, so they would have to get to 48 wins in order to hit that over. Would you take the over or under?
I'd take the under.
Interesting.
Look, this is a Western Conference where the Denver Nuggets were the 1 seed at 53 wins. The Memphis Grizzlies were the 2 seed at 51 wins. Sacramento with 48 wins at the 3 seed. And this Warriors team is going to get 47. That would put them at the 4. Like, I mean, this is just using last year's stuff. But I just think we're about to see a similar Western Conference like we did last year where everything is kind of, what is it? From Phoenix Suns were the 4 seed all the way down to like, the Oklahoma City Thunder at the 10 seed was all within a couple games. Like, I feel like we're about to see something like that again.
I agree with you that it's probably under, but if they're 43 or 44 and 38 like last year, I think that's a disappointment.
I think it is too. I'd probably guess around the 40. I'd probably guess around the 47, 46 range. Is that what the over under is at? Like
I don't know.
like
I just created that. I don't know. I don't know what the actual. You know what? I did listen to Simmons and House and Russillo. I don't remember what that number was for that. I want to say it was like 40. I thought it was like 44 or something.
Interesting. Yeah, I would take the over of 44.
All right.
I think there is an opportunity where they come out swinging and there's like if all things stay good, like they are a top 3 seed. I think there is a world. I mean, even top 2. I do think that there is a world where that can happen.
All right.
But I think just based off what we saw last year, it's kind of hard to make that prediction and be confident about saying that after literally what we just saw less than a calendar year ago.
Okay, so you just kind of mentioned it, which was my next question. Where in the West seeding do you see them? I say if they're right around the 4 and they actually have home court advantage in the first round, I think I'd be fine with that.
Me too.
But if they are below that, I think, our hopes and dreams of what the season could or should be like would be not great for the team.
Yeah, I think if they're anything less than the 4 seed, that's a disappointment as well. Not only the 44 wins thing, I think if they're a less, because I think what hurt them last year was the Kings series going to 7 games made them really tired for game 1 versus the Lakers, which was a must win because the Lakers 1-6, so they had that extra opportunity to not play and rest. And I think the Warriors going to 7 with the Kings was because they fooled around in the regular season, all the stuff that happened last season and not having home court advantage. I think that is why that went to 7. So I think they should, if there is something about last season, it's like, the regular season is important, even though we were the 6th seed and got to the second round. Like, we would have liked to have that home court advantage, got it done earlier, and then had a better chance against the Lakers last season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is like internally, I'm sure that's something that's very important is at least being the 4 seed.
All right, here's an interesting one. And I put this together without even knowing what last year's numbers were, and they're very close. Who has more minutes played per game between Chris Paul and Klay Thompson?
Klay.
I would say Klay as well, but it is actually closer than I realized when you look at the numbers from last year. Klay played
starting last year.
Right, and we don't know that he's not starting this year. Chris Paul played 32 minutes a game. Klay played 33 minutes a game. Now, you say it's about starting. It is probably about starting. But there are going to be some games where Clay's like 6 for 18, and Steve might just roll with CP, right? Like you have that option now where, you have sort of the vet at the end of the game, and you talked about that mid-range 2. Like that mid-range 2 might be a better shot late in the game than Clay hunting, Clay pump faking, fade away from the corner. Like you almost would rather have that CP. You almost believe more that Chris could get to his spot right now than Clay could get to his spot.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, what about more games played? Same 2 guys.
Clay.
Okay,
I think we want Chris to play less games and less minutes. I think we want that.
We do, but that would mean things are going correctly. Things are going the way that the Warriors want them to go.
Ooh, okay.
Well, okay, so last year, Chris only played 59. Clay played 69. And now Clay was not playing most back-to-backs last year. I imagine he will probably play more back-to-backs this year if he's feeling healthy. And, now with this this load management rule, whatever this load management rule even is, that affects CP more than it affects Clay, because Clay hasn't been an all-star in the time frame in which they are, and CP has been an all-star. So, all right. What about I'm going to give you a points per game for one Wardell, Stephen Curry. Now, I will tell you, in the last few years, when it comes to points per game, last year, Steph was at 29.4. The year they won the title, 25.5. The year before, they missed the playoffs because they lost the play-in.
Like 33?
32 points a game. Now, the one thing that is a little bit different for him is actually, I mean, it was different for the season in which the Warriors won the title, is his 3-point percentage was down. But he's going to be around 42, 43%. He hasn't been higher than that since 18-19 when he was at 43.7, and obviously that historical season where he won the unanimous MVP, he was at 45.4 on 11.2 tries a game. This dude chucked 12.7 tries in 2021 when they missed the playoffs
From 3?
Yeah, 12.7. Yeah. That's amazing. All right, so the numbers. The 3 KD years, he was 27.3, 26.4, 25.3. But the non-KD years, he's been hovering, closer to that 30 mark. I'm going to put it at 28.5. Do you go higher or lower for points per game?
I'm going to go higher because I was going to put it at 29. I genuinely have a hunch that this Steph has, I don't know what the odds are for MVP, but I'd give him top 3 odds with him, Tatum, and maybe Luka. I don't know if I'd give Jokic his third. Embiid, I don't know if he's going to go back to back. Giannis maybe, but I think Steph Curry should have top 3 MVP odds this season, and so I think I would go at the 29. But no, that's something I definitely have a hunch. That's a hunch for me. I think I think my MVP right now and penciled in my head is Tatum. I think they're probably just going to be the 1 seed in the East with them or Milwaukee, and I'm sure he's just going to have another durable, really good season. But no, I think Steph should be, and especially if the Warriors are a top 3 seed. I definitely think it's possible, and I think he's going to average at least 29.
All right, 3-pointers per game for Steph.
No,
he has been. There have been 3 years in his career where he has been at 5 makes or higher. Those seasons were his unanimous MVP season, his 18-19 season, so the last Durant season, he was at 5.1, and his 2021 season where he was at 5.3. That's the highest number of makes in his career per game. Last year, 4.9 threes per game. Over under 5. What are you thinking? So you think he's going to get closer to 5.1, 5.3-ish, and that's where, if he gets, over 5, you're going to be right about that 29 points a game, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I have to run with it.
Okay.
Can I pitch one to you?
Yeah, go for it.
Are we staying on Steph, or were you staying on Steph with this next one?
No, but you can stay on Steph if you want.
Okay. No, I was not going to stay on Steph. I was going to say, do you think the 6th Man of the Year award will be in Golden State? I think so. If I have this right here, let me pull this up.
So you're talking JK?
I'm talking JK. I'm talking CP. So the last 6th Man of the Year award was Malcolm Brogdon, and then he averaged 14.9 points per game. The year before that, Tyler Hero at 20. Jordan Clarkson the year before that at 18.4. Montrezl Harrell 18.6 the year before that. And some of these aren't really totally like Montrez. I guess he was kind of a scoring punch off the bench, but I personally don't think it needs to be like, you need to be like this great scorer to win it. Like that's what you're primarily providing. I think CP with assists and if they win and his plus minus stuff, I think that should all go into it if for him. But I do feel like the minimum for 6th Man of the Year is probably 14 points per game. Do you think that CP or JK can win this award? And if you do, who do you think would be more likely to get it?
If the Warriors are going to have a really good season, I feel like CP has to be a little bit of the Andre in that he's got to be the adult. He's got to be the consistent guy to run that second team. And if he is that, then JK is not even the 6th man. JK is like the 7th or the 8th man. But
that doesn't.
But JK could have a fantastic season, highly efficient season, because CP is good for them or has a great season. Like I'd rather see. I'm sure for JK's contract extension, he wants to win that award. But I think in order for the Warriors to do what we hope the Warriors do, that has to be something where CP is actually higher ranked.
Yeah, I agree.
JK.
I agree. I think there is an opportunity there. I think Emmanuel Quickley has the best odds right now in New York, but I don't know. I think history tells us that these voters do favor the points per game stuff. Like it's a shame that Iguodala has never won this award, and I feel like that's just bad for the people who have votes that Iguodala never won this award. But hey, right your wrongs now. If CP, he might not average 20 points per game, but if he averages 14 and 8 or something like, I don't know about 8 assists, but if the Warriors are winning and CP is a clear reason in that second unit as to why we're maintaining leads and playing well, like that needs to be considered. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like,
here's the value for Chris, which is when Steph leaves the court, the Warriors can't be a -7.
Yeah.
If the Warriors are a -2 or an even, then that's a win, and CP is like one of the more valuable players in the league at that point.
I agree.
Like, to be able to swing that. So that's the stat that I think hardcore diehard Warriors fans should look at, is that the non-Steph minutes.
The Steph's on-off splits. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here's one. I think this answer is actually kind of easy, but I'm still interested in your thoughts, which is, who has more games played by the end of the season? Now, obviously, injury could happen, and this may not be a fair one, but Corey Joseph or B-Pods?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Who's going to play more games this season? Who's going to have less DNPs, I guess?
Corey Joseph.
I think so too. But yeah, I wonder, as we get through the season, obviously, because B-Pods is going to be playing some G League games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how many he can play, but he's going to be playing some of that. So they won't need him on some of those trips. But I do wonder, if we get to the second half of the season, Corey Joseph is like just a model of consistency. Like if you just look at his numbers. So last year, he's 7 points, 3.5 assists the year before, 8 points, 3.6 assists the year before that, 12 and 5.5 the year before that, 6.6 and 2.5. So you kind of know what you're going to get. And I think that was probably the draw for them to get him, shoot at a 38% level from three. So you know what you're going to get, and you just hope that keeps turnovers down, and that they, he's not a big turnover guy. 1 turnover per game, pretty much for his career. But there's just so much more possibility, I feel, if B-Pods is actually a pretty good player. Like he could make Corey Joseph, less important. But then again, the Warriors signed Corey Joseph to be another adult in the room. So yeah, they will probably be better off if Corey Joseph has a pretty decent season.
Did you listen to the latest? I think he did like Slater did an all 82 with Nate Duncan.
The deep voiced Nate Duncan.
Did you like it? I thought it was good.
It was
Did
fine.
you listen to it?
Yeah,
I thought it was good. I liked what they said about B-Pods, and like kind of like he's already like he doesn't play like a rookie, and I agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
I think he's really composed, and I feel like I hope he gets the opportunity, and he will get the opportunity at some point, which is kind of how these guys, how this team rests guys, or how if someone gets injured, B-Pods will have the opportunity. And I think if he does have a, I think you're right that if Corey Joseph has the better season, that's better for the Warriors. But I mean, I feel like it's pretty close for me.
For the fans and for the culture, if B-Pods is running point at the end there, it'll be fun.
Yeah. B-Pods at the point is fun.
For those who are checking us out on YouTube, want to say thank you, appreciate it. If you can, I'm gonna pull a Larry Kruger here. My buddy Mike Gilbert told me that this is what Larry does, and Larry's very successful at this YouTube stuff. So if you can give us a little thumbs up on the video, I think that sort of helps with algorithms and stuff. So just that's just a small request from us. But okay, I have a couple more for you. Kevon Looney, games played, over under 81.5.
Let's like I feel like under is the easiest one. Let's go over, man. He's all 82 for 2 years in a row.
All 82. And that Slater should call that podcast the Kevon Looney podcast. Yes. Yeah, just call it Looney.
Yep.
That's what it is. He's all 82. All right, best case, worst case scenario. So this exercise is, if everything goes right, what does it look like for the Warriors? And if everything doesn't go right, what could it look like for the Warriors on a negative side? So I'll do the best case here. So best case for the Warriors is I think that with this current unit, they get off to a really good start. They show they can win on the road. Chris Paul is clutch, and they are in the hunt for the first 2 or 3 spots in the West. And then come trade deadline, someone who is just taller than 6'10", who can actually block some shots, shakes free, and they can bring that player in. And I'm not even worried about Jokic as much, because Jokic is going to just do everybody poorly. I'm more looking at this Lakers matchup where the Lakers kind of exposed the Warriors in the playoffs about where you can go with that team. And if the offense isn't clicking and you have to play this possession style basketball, the Lakers are just going to be better at it. And the Lakers are improved this year, I think, roster wise.
I think so too. And
they find a big who can free up Draymond a little bit against someone like AD. Obviously, there's other players in the West who you may have to find someone other than Draymond to always have to guard these guys, because Draymond is already not healthy coming into this. It is only an ankle injury, so it's not like the back thing. So that happens in basketball, but the idea is like you need to keep Draymond healthy for this team to be good. And then they match up and they can beat the Lakers and the Nuggets, and then possibly be in the mix at the end there. And your Phoenix is, I look at Phoenix and I go, man, they're just going to wear down at the end of the season because of their lack of depth, rotational depth. And so that is best case to me. You give yourself a fighting chance against these bigger teams by bringing in a center, and you go toe to toe, and you go, "Hey, Jokic, you've never beat us in any meaningful game. Let's go." And then if you can do that, you may be able to hang out in the NBA Finals again. So that is what I see as best case. Like best case to me isn't the Warriors go 69 and and 13 and blow through everybody. That type of team doesn't exist anymore. But there are things that could happen to where I think that they could be one of the top 3 teams in the West.
I think that there is a potential that they do come out firing like they did in the championship season and get off to like that kind of start. I think that is a possibility. I don't know how much the Phoenix game will tell. Like, obviously, if they blow Phoenix out, like we're gonna be saying that probably. Like, I could assume that's gonna be a lot of headlines, overreactions. But even if they lose the Phoenix, I feel like that's still potentially in play. I feel like that big thing, just getting another guy who's above the height of 6'10", is mainly just for the Lakers and like maybe like the Bucks on the other side, because you could say
We've mentioned Robert Williams on this podcast before. Like if he's healthy, he would be a perfect addition because you wouldn't really need to ask much out of him. He wouldn't even play more than 20 minutes a game, I don't think.
he's a prime trade candidate for the deadline as well, I believe. So, but I feel like that's mainly just for the Lakers and like maybe the Bucks, because we have beaten the Nuggets without a guy above the height of 6'10". We've beaten the Celtics without one. I think we could beat Phoenix without one, because if they're going to keep starting Nurkic, we're just going to go, we're going to play, but, and then some of the other
I
teams, like
secretly
even
think KD is going to be very frustrated with Nurkic this season.
yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing with that pickup. I mean, I don't know if it was more of like, hey, we just need to get rid of Ayton, because it's kind of like the Wiseman situation where it's
God,
like
or
the Poole situation.
I know Ayton maybe doesn't have like that killer instinct, but
He doesn't.
still as a defensive player, someone who could actually play in the end of games when other teams go small, I would still bet on him more than I'd bet on Nurkic.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I think if things go well, I think we're a top 3 seed. And like not even go well. I think if they go over a top 4 seed, I think there's a realistic chance that we do have a top 3, even a top 2 seed. I don't know if that's a trade deadline candidate though. Like, when's the last time that I feel like this team has ever had a significant trade deadline acquisition that translated into the playoffs? Like,
Baby.
GP2, but that doesn't count. I don't think that counts. Like, I'm talking about like completely different, hasn't played in the system. That's like the benefit of the Warriors stuff, is kind of having the continuity and same guys that come around every year that know the system. It's a big part of being on the Warriors. So I'm
they were
wondering
more like buy-in guys and
I feel like it is a center though,
free
because I
agent
feel like
signings like Boogie and David West and those guys.
I feel like the center position specifically for the Warriors is probably the least demanding, the least commanding position, even though, we love the guys who could pass and guys who could play defense. But maybe.
Who's going to block any sort of shots this year for them? I can't see anybody really. GP might lead the team in blocks.
He might.
Sneaking from behind and swatting guys out.
Yeah, he might. I think you're right about that.
Okay, so worst case scenario for me is CP doesn't work.
Injuries is the worst case scenario.
Well, there could be some injury problems. B pods and some of these younger players, Moody, Kuminga, they may have to play a little bit more than the Warriors want them to. And Steph isn't the same Steph. And if one or more than one of those things could possibly happen, and then you're talking about fighting for the playoffs and
we don't have our pick either.
Get back to the play-in scenario situation. So there's a lot of things that I think have to go right for the Warriors to compete at that high level. And I know that they built this roster to get back to competing at that high level. But man, there is some scary injury concern. There is some chemistry concern. There is some young player poutiness concern, not doing what they need them to do concern. And that could kind of cause them to drop and get closer to that 500 mark, which would put them in jeopardy. So that is kind of what you want to avoid. And I feel like, by the first 10, 15 games, you'll probably be able to see if the chemistry stuff is there, and how the rotation is fitting. Because I just remember last year we're watching games and going like, man, what is the rotation? They don't have a set rotation. Why is Moody playing in this game and then not playing in this game? So, I think that's up to Kerr and the coaching staff. They really got to figure out that rotation.